Shirley here with Sirius Dallas Moon. This is Jupiter hour moon night, and the moon is 13 degrees Taurus, Jupiter 19 degrees Cancer, and Venus in 20 degrees Leo. Venus is applying to trine, Chiron, and Aries. And I am continuing to broadcast in the face of the advances. And this reminds me of a couple of, I think, less than 2 weeks ago, when I talked about something feeling stagnant, and I received us to call this stagnation. Well, inside of me, I think the sun was in conjuncting. Yes, the sun was in the beginning of Virgo, so it was in conjuncting um, Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto. So now, definitely, I cannot say that we are in stagnation. Now, the questions are as they should be for a person who has been doing natal chart for a millennia, an entire year. Will there be an activation of Article 5? Undoubtedly, yes. I will tell it from my astrologer perspective. And the last decan of Libra has to do with extreme action, but this is a decan that on a mundane level I would call um, the last phase before continuing negotiations by other means, or but and of course that we when we talk praxis, a couple of drones here, a couple of drones there, is an operation is not even the issue. By other means is Mars squaring Pluto from Scorpio, and this is going to be Mars return for Mark Rutte, the 0 degree and then the 1 degree. And it's going to go over the ascendant of Vladimir Putin. While in conjuncting Uranus that conjoins Sedna. So this one is going to be beyond volatile, very atomic, very explosive, very arctic, very not demure. And um, so are we going to see the activation of Article 5 by the 21 or the shade of the eclipse? Well, for that I would need to see what is the shade of the eclipse, because this is the duration of the war. And I don't have the answer. I will need to research that. Probably my colleagues are well acquainted with those details. We are still within the shade of the eclipses that started October 7, that had affected the world globally through demonstrations or what people call global intifada. And and the and the question of how will the world intervene with the aftermath. Again, broadcasting from Israel/Palestine, there's a limit to the phrasing that I can say. Um, in fact, I was watching an interview with Mark Rutte, and he himself does not disclose his own personal opinions on the topic. Um, I have openly stated it, 7th October, and it hasn't changed. False flag is a global issue. Then I learned during the war about Gladio Operation and the Cold War. But in my other episodes, which I'm going to caretake for a video while speaking, I did address several of those things. So my prediction is absolutely yes, there is going to be an invocation of Article 5. It is beyond inevitable. And it's going to be extremely volatile even after that invocation. Um, this is something that, by all levels of intelligence, litigations, whistleblowing, negotiations, and politics and economy, has been, from a perspective of astrology, you can see it clearly. Hey, there is this transit in November where Mars is squaring Pluto and in conjuncting Uranus along the way. And this is, while Pluto is already out of bounds until 2035, um, those are volatile times. Those are extremely volatile times. The good thing is that any attempt to control and enslave humanity by the merit of volatility is going to face volatility. The challenging is that any attempt to rely on linear reality is going to face challenges as well. Um, so, if you think about what is an utter, total, and complete chaos, all we're missing is a year of eclipse. The way the way they had in I don't know what AD 500 something AD, where they had an entire year of eclipses. So I don't quite remember what each video says, but I'm gonna take caretake for all of them. Um, so absolutely yes. Um, I had people talking about the three yachts as Pearl Harbor like, and I have also talked about the fact that, whether people like it or not, sovereignty is not something that goes only on one level. And when we're talking about something as immense as nuclear holocaust during smart bunkers that exiled their residents, we are talking utter, total, and complete destruction unless both indigenous societies and global societies and elite societies will um, tend to sovereignty on all levels of existence. That means sexual sovereignty, that means financial sovereignty, that means nervous system sovereignty, that means psychic sovereignty, that means dream state sovereignty, that means awakened state sovereignty, it's physical sovereignty. And as we know, we're not really anywhere near close to that. And the Tempus fight is intense. Um, so the good news about that is that the entire world is having an awakening moment of, hey, we're on the verge of utter, total, and complete sanity, because what has been up until this point is insane, and we have normalized it. And so a lot of people, when facing those times, there's a purgatory of the essence of what has been causing those very troubles. So that can be um, healing, curating, authentically liberating, okay, as well. Um, those are the times, okay. Those are the times um, where it is the verge of um, a world war, okay, with all that entails. NATO invoking Article 5 is a world war. Um, and Pearl Harbor um, signified, although the beginning of the end of the World War, I can tell you that on an occultistic um, level, the rituals that are done are similar to Pearl Harbor. Um, talking about the quotes that I heard from occultists, um, quoting Hermann Hesse, about those that will be born need to destroy a world. Um, and indeed, those are Pearl Harbor times, leading to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But I think the rational of all player and the irrational of all player understand that one cannot drop an A bomb without dropping all of them. And that is not something that has survivors in this day and age. So, and it's not for nothing that the Mark Rutte, head of NATO, the biggest military alliance of the West, was asked about Israel and Palestine, um, elegantly avoided. He was prime minister for 14 years, and he was the person that Bibi called on the 7th of October when Bibi's supposed nation was supposedly, surprisingly invaded. and, um, and so that understanding that Israel has a midheaven actually conjoining Jupiter for Mark Rutte on Procyon, which is a point of denuclearification. John F. Kennedy, for example, had his midheaven and Saturn surrounding um, Procyon, and he avoided a Third World War. Um, he avoided more than a Third World War, and one would say he paid with his life for that. Um, and so I don't see Mark Rutte as the sensitivity point that JFK was in from that perspective. I will have to look at the chart of JFK again. Um, I'm not going to talk about lethal volatility. I have addressed the CERN issue, but I'm not going to talk about lethal volatility. Definitely not openly in that context. It's going to be a year of Jupiter going retrograde on Procyon coming back. This is also on the midheaven of the State of Israel, which means that um, if anything atomic happens in Israel, which can happen, it's a volatile situation, and not even by intention of someone, it absolutely can happen. Um, and the midheaven of Israel is on the denuclearification, which there are many things I can go into. Um, the satanic cults try to make people go against what is in their best favor. Doing a ritual human sacrifice in the state of Israel is something that anybody with any point on Procyon should have. And but this is also what the satanic cults do, is to get people to a point where they do go against the best favor because they are attacking the light and attacking what is benefic for humanity. Um, and this indeed um, creates, if atomic project in Israel created atomic balance between the east and the west, the north and the south, on Procyon, it means that that exploding is the antithetical. I do say that the Procyon points that we do have for Mark Rutte's chart, Jupiter Procyon, Jupiter going retrograde on Procyon, those things are only going to save us from nuclear holocaust if and only if the violations of, and we have to see where Pluto is, and in the chart of Israel is fifth house, which talks about children, and that pertaining to where Saturn is the seventh house, and that has to do with it's going to affect the boundaries of Israel, allies and enemies. I'm sitting in the margins of an A bomb. If they explode again, they can drop an A bomb, and that would be different margins. But if they explode where the textile factory is, Dimona, I'm at the margins, and with all that that entails. And I say that the only way to avoid the only way to avoid total utter nuclear holocaust is tending to the children. I will address the fact that Mark Rutte has a litigation. I will address regarding children, regarding Gaza. I will address the fact that he also has Chubi Procyon. I will address the fact that it's going to be out anyway, and was out anyway, and it is out anyway. The Mark the True, and Mark Rutte. I will address the fact that structurally all what people call elite are have been through satanic abuse, where have been both victims and had to be perpetrators. And the more they grew, the more, and you can listen to the testimony of Annika Lucas in that regard. And I will address the fact that they are using that as extortion to trigger a world war that is actually a nuclear holocaust that will not spare those elites. And yet, there is nothing rational about it, nor is there anything rational about child sacrifice done both indigenously and not indigenously. And so, this is something that broadcasting from the country that is considered, at least by great parts of the world, the analogy of Nazi Germany. And no amount of hasbara will do unless we tend to the children, unless we tend to the child and human trafficking that is being normalized both within and outside of marriage. And not only that, in the margins of if a bomb explodes, which can only again be avoided by tending to the rituals that are surrounding the creation of a currency and an A-bomb and a laser weapon, which are ritual satanic abuse. that are inspired by both indigenous and not indigenous societies. Um, so this is not a third world war. And the occultistic rituals that are scheduled to November around the Thema Mundi um, are about destroying the world. Now, definitely the world that performs ritual sacrifice, that normalizes trafficking, organ harvesting of infants as well, needs to be destroyed. So this is, yes, this is not a wrong um, saying. One would say needs to be saved. Um, needs to be destroyed, needs to be saved. Aren't those the same thing? Because that world needs to be destroyed for the world to be saved. And no amount of sacrifice can basically undo the sacrifice that causes the need to supposedly sacrifice. Also, we are at the month of Elul, which has to do with rituals that are done to supposedly sacrifice animals and children to supposedly compensate for sin. Um, Sin in Hebrew is China. Both cases and interpretations, this is not going to be a sun without sin unless those rituals are stopped. And people say, hey, it's highly unlikely for that to happen. My prediction is that there's going to be a certain sort of volatility. And Jupiter is only 19 degrees. Okay? Jupiter is only 19 degrees of Cancer. So it is a little bit of a while before it turns, before it turns retrograde on Procyon. I think this picture is compatible. Um, so I think this is an okay title. On the edge of the world, exploding NATO Article 5. So yes, will there be an invocation of Article 5? Yes. This is why everybody was wondering, is United States committed to Article 5? United States is committing Article 5. Okay? Um, date in a 5. The world versus. So yeah, United States is committing Article 5. It doesn't publish videos. This published. This published. No, but this is a good episode. Now it's on YouTube. There's nothing I can do. It's a very good episode, but it's on YouTube. Yes, people hear it by a song better than they hear it This is, okay, Sexual Sovereignty, almost the same title. One is a video, one is a song. One has almost 200 views. I feel almost famous. And the other, 12 views. Um, so, yeah, just, so people prefer for me to sing about it rather than to talk about this. Okay, um, while we're at it, let's take care of for another video. And where I elaborate on the topic that nobody likes to hear about, um, because it triggers so many things, and it's so understandable, um, and yet it's unavoidable, and that is sexual sovereignty. So yes, activation of Article 5 beyond volatility. Um, get the fact that Uranus is civil war clock. Okay, so it's civil war clock as well. Um, in yes, U.S., Israel. So there's a lot of things happening in the U.S. The lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse have Rahu in the fourth house of United States, which is the people. Jupiter return already, okay, and still finalizing for the U.S. chart as well. So it's going to be a lot of U.S. I need a chart of Oregon. Um, there's going to be a ritual in Oregon that has to do with the destruction of the world. Um, and so basically it refers to a talisman called Tema Mundi, Biosphere and Sundry. These are colleagues of mine, astrologers, um, and they are occultists. And um, and this is something that probably is going to send ripples um, around, yes, around many things. Um, again, at the onset of, and the belief that the destruction of kind of both Israel and Palestine was needed. No, there is no one, there is no local A bomb that can. This is not. Well, okay, while the events are reminding of Pearl Harbor, Pluto is out of bounds, and an A bomb entails Pluto. So, and Pluto also refers to the tunnels, what is underground, being in the air, and so on. So, and the chart of Israel is a complete world destruction. Um, anything that goes along a sacrifice that will compensate, or that and that needs to be destroyed. Um, again, before any rituals, there are gnosis. There's gnosis that is arising. Um, but this is no more secrecy to those rituals. Transparency. We are at the age of air. And something that's going to affect the entire world deserves for the people to know about and have sovereignty of deciding whether they want to be, what is being put into the egregore, and do they want to be a part of that, and how is that egregore affecting them. And they need to have a sovereign choice, which means not a gaslighting of a choice, not a spiritual welfare type of a choice. Um, and this is something that I have addressed openly time and time again. sovereignty is sovereignty. It's not sovereignty for a part of the people. It's not sovereignty without sexual sovereignty. It's not sovereignty, masquerading over human trafficking sovereignty. Sovereignty is sovereignty. It's not part of the people can be sovereign sovereignty. No. And this is, um, let's just put it that way. CIA wise, I don't know about the Mossad. CIA wise, the 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 remedies for everything and the ability to create utter, total, and complete sovereignty, safety, and freedom for each and every being, not individual, being, set of atoms on planet Earth and beyond exists. There's absolutely no fucking reason to not do that. And when we have a Uranus civil war clock in the CIA, it's Frank Olson time. Both the arguments about the Frank Olson that has been the psychological Dr. Mengele, both about the intricacy about playing that role. Because most people don't necessarily believe that they're the devil when they're playing the devil. And the Frank Olson that perhaps was bewildered from what the experiments do. And this is a position of each and every person that does something with their life and then goes through a gnosis and goes through the questioning, is it from trauma realms? Is it curating trauma? Is it benefic? Most people go about thinking that they're going to create something better or important. Um, and so I want people to know that the chart of NATO, chart of Israel, chart of USA, chart of um, chart of CIA, okay, all of these charts are going through a Uranus return in the sign of civil wars, okay. So there is no consensus about exterminating the entire Earth, nor is there consensus about the Gog Magog, nor is there consensus about satanic ritual abuse, nor is there consensus about targeting individuals, nor is there consensus about dropping A-bombs, nor is there consensus about a world war. In the exact same charts of those who are the alliances and committed, and those who are committed to Article 5, which is United States and the chart of NATO. And the state of Israel. Okay, so if Israel is going for an Eretz Israel Shlema, there absolutely is no consensus about that. If there's going to be declarations of independence of Palestine, which my prediction is there will be, they're going to have a Uranus Gemini as well, which puts them with the charts, and I will be very happy if they do have a country. I will be very happy if that would be with Uranus and Gemini, because um, because that would entail that it's those that better appease child rights, labor rights, okay, trade rights, and by that also women's rights or men's rights, whichever is the balancing of the equation. In the matriarchy, it's men's rights. In the patriarchy, it's women's rights. Will have better take over the land. What used to work in the past, when Pluto was not out of bounds, was the controlling and the framing of the civil wars, so that there's going to be a relativity effect to appeasing Uranus in Gemini, which is next to Aldebaran, which is being victorious over land. That worked for a couple of centuries. It is Pluto. So this is absolutely um, important time. A lot of people are complaining about the NATO allies being soft with Putin and so on. They're just doing Mars in Libra, and there is a timing for everything. But when the clock strikes World War, there is tremendous volatility. So much so that it can even happen in a way of it just happened. Now, I want you to think about a scenario. Billions of people are targeted individuals, and going into what people call psychosis is being targeted individual by even AI or ChatGPT. Each and every one of them is as volatile in that state where they begin to dissociate, begin to access certain nervous systems that are at interface with technology. One of them can, and it only takes one, trigger a chain of events that is atomic. The controlled chaos illusion we had with this Mars square Pluto and in conjunct Uranus, we are going to have um, the first very visible time where Uranus and Pluto are still, it begins when Uranus and Pluto are still in the air signs, and that's going to be seeing how Mars operates. We had that with Uranus being in an Earth sign, and that was 7th of October. And now we have it in an air sign, and Uranus conjoining Sedna right now. So we're going to see basically what would Pluto-Uranus look like when the trine dissolves. Because we are building, going from the square through the trine, or from the square, what am I talking about? Pluto and Aries sextile. No, from the square to the sextile of Pluto and Aries, or the closing sextile, okay? Hiroshima and Nagasaki was Pluto, either sextile or trine Aries. It was trine Aries. I think, it's my colleague. Oh, but he didn't talk about MK Ultra. Dan waits. I'll give him credit. Call him down and I'll hold him accountable for not talking about MK Ultra. He actually said it's good that people don't talk about MK Ultra. That's Dan waits. It's on you. A great astrologer, fantastic astrologer. Talk about MK Ultra. Goddamn. Talk about the astrology of satanic ritual abuse. And so they're all Masons. And so, but so are our leaders. Anyway, um, so yeah. By the way, the Nazis were impressed by Solomonic rights of Aleister Crowley. This is why I have a colleague that his website was blocked in Canada for being occultistic, and he happened to have been in a personality cult. And his wife talks about sovereignty all the time. I mentioned that. So again, but understanding occult, or understanding astrological magic, or understanding working with spirit and matter in a benefic and benevolent way, um, and curating our traumas, and tending to this MQ ultra dumb fuckery is imperative for humanity to sustain. So it's not about not learning astrology, it's about doing that benefically. It's not about not learning psychology, it's about doing that benefically. It's not about not wanting the good life, it's about doing that benefically, and so on and so forth. Um, so, yes, this one has to do with the sexual sovereignty. And because it's so related to the United States and currency. No, actually, you know what? It's the Bilderbergs. Bilderberg and Belsen. Um, yeah, when people think about sex and money, they usually think about what is actually the aftermath of satanic ritual abuse. Managed to escape the immediate rituals. Um, they are programmed basically to become drug addicts and die in prostitution. And then Peter R. de Vries will go all the way to Australia and then say that the world is upside down because he's being arrested for trespassing by holding a police officer accountable for partaking in very likely human trade, satanic abuse, or whatnot. Um, and so, and then the rebuttal for what I said is I'll let others tend to that. So sexual, but those that actually tended to their sexual sovereignty understand that wealth is also manifestation and is also sexual energy, and sovereignty is imperative, um, which means that people are way more wealthy than they believe themselves to be. And it's not about, and the lower astral can be occupied by demonic possessions when people don't tend to their sexual sovereignty. In fact, if and only if people don't enter the sexual sovereignty. Because when they do, they begin to become aware and they begin to curate, um, and they begin to kind of like, if their lower chakras are kind of like their place, they begin to evacuate the place from the trespassers that wanted them to not even be themselves. And when everybody begins to do that, it also means that there is vacancy suddenly in those places that used to be occupied by ritual abuse. And that means that people can respect boundaries on a global level and become sovereign on a global level. The alternative is global holocaust and extinction of humanity, which is not terrible considering why it happens. So, Genghis Khan is why am why are my videos being censored? It loads, looks like it's a full time, then they're trying to censor things, but this one is okay. This one is okay. This one was originally that size. This one is not okay. Well, channels. This one is full. Yeah. Only after I prevented. It's one attempt because they caught the Dutch citizen. Never mind. What is mine? No matter what is matter. Never mind. And so, it's a lapsus. So yeah, I think you've pretty much got the picture for this one. We're gonna see if it publishes correctly, and then if not, I'll just upload that on my YouTube channel. So that's Shirley Tully Youngblood for the YouTube channel. And yeah, and Sirius Talisman or Sirius on YouTube.